And to culture wars, talking about childhood, I've always hated mobs, always. And I have a special dislike now, so many years later, for the kind of people that didn't just join the mob that persecuted George Pell, but savaged anybody who said anything in defence of someone we now know was innocent. Now let me introduce you to a few of them. Do you remember when a friend of George Pell, former Prime Minister Tony Abbott, visited Pell in jail, and how Victorian Premier Dan Andrews reacted? He tweeted, "This is absolutely shameful. Abbott visiting a friend. If you want to go visiting convicted child sex offenders, surely you would think for a moment that this is bigger than you and him and your friendship." And then another friend of Pell's, former Prime Minister John Howard, wrote Pell a reference to the court for sentencing about the good works he had done and which perhaps should be taken into account. That got punished as well. I mean, here's one guy, Labor MP Tim Watts, among others, said, "People should never forget that Howard wrote this character reference." And Tim Watts, "No, I won't forget that. It is so much to John Howard's credit." And Tim, your tweet is not to your own credit at all. And Labor frontbencher Christina Keneally, oh, my goodness, how she savaged Melbourne Archbishop Peter Comensoli as heartless for daring to say that he didn't actually think Pell was guilty.
I believe in what he said to me on many occasions that he is innocent.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. Do you believe him or not?
I believe the man has been abused, yes.
But not by George Pell?
I believe both.
The type of commentary that we've seen from people like Bishop Comensoli really goes to the heart of why victims of child sexual abuse have really struggled for so many years to speak up, because there's a fear they won't be believed.
As for Ray Hadley, I'll deal with him at the end of the show. Joining me is Rowan Dean, editor of The Spectator Australia, author and host of Outsiders on Sky every Sunday. Rowan, it's great to see you, mate. Hey, the examples I've given, what do you make of them?
Yes. What we've seen before we get onto those characters, I just want to quickly say, Andrew, that a lot of people have contacted me, and I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of people in Australia. A very, very big thank you to you, Andrew Bolt. You stood steadfast throughout this entire couple of years. No, seriously, let me finish, because to you it was a big issue. To me, it was always just simply, I found the evidence incredible. But what this goes to the heart of, Andrew, is what we have lost in this country. And perhaps it's gone for good, but I hope not. And I think what the High Court has done is hopefully prevented it from disappearing. And that is the presumption of innocence, the rule of law, the burden of proof, and the concept that it's better that 100 people, guilty people, go free than one innocent person goes to jail.
Rowan, now that you said that, you mentioned the High Court. You've prompted me to say this. I think I need to say this. You and I have both absolutely excoriated the High Court for its decision on race a month or so ago. I have to say, honestly, the High Court, thank God for those 7 justices of the High Court. It took guts to come up with this decision, and thank God they did it. These are real mensch. So I don't think I've forgiven them for the previous decision, but still, let me just say that.
Well, funnily enough, I was going to conclude by saying, Andrew, you are an absolute mensch. And the number of people around the country who believe that, and I speak on behalf of a very, very large and unfortunately often silent majority, because as you found out, and Tony Abbott found out, and John Howard found out, even just offering your support to a friend was enough to damn you and to have you vilified, hated, and it is still going on. And the tragedy is that the three Labor people you showed are just a tiny portion of this vast army out there who basically would tear down the rule of law in this country if they could. They don't believe it. Dan Andrews is still going on. They ignore the fact that the High Court, in one of the rarest findings ever, has said this bloke is innocent. It's not a technicality. It's not that there was something different or some excuse or he had deep pockets, whatever. He's innocent, full stop. And that is what we must teach our children, and hopefully our children are learning from this exercise what presumption of innocence means and what our legal system means, which is so precious to us, so fragile that it was torn down and is still being torn down by the left side of politics in this country, and the ABC. And if ever Scott Morrison wanted a reason to say, pull the funding from the ABC now, because they are a cancer on this country.
Yes.
They fed this to endless toxicity into the system, and our children have to know that the fact that just one person was prepared like you to stand up for the rule of law is terrifying.
Well, it wasn't just me, but it was a number. But still, you know, it is terrifying that a national broadcaster spoke with one voice. There was not a one dissenting voice on the ABC. It's our biggest broadcaster, and seemed pledged to destroy a man on charges that we know were wrong, were false, it's so frightening. And I've seen no sign of repentance at all. I mean, it's just
quite the opposite.
It freaks me out.
They will continue. They will continue, Andrew, and this is why Scott Morrison has to pull the plug and say, really, enough is enough. And the ABC has so much to apologise. If they won't apologise for this, seriously, pull the plug on them, because the taxpayer should not be paying. If they want to put these views and ideas out there, great. Let people pay for them.
Do it on their own dime.
Want. Exactly.
Yeah, I was funding it. This was. Oh, by the way, you just reminded me. I just got to do a shout out. Sorry, Rowan. Just hang on a second. The Age newspaper today ran a piece by John Fain, a former ABC broadcaster until last year, and also a former lawyer. And the pig ignorance in that piece absolutely stuns me from anyone, let alone a former lawyer, claiming that the High Court was wrong because here it was substituting its decision for that of a jury, and that was just unprecedented. John Fain, judges do that. That happens. It's allowed under the law. There are precedents. For you not to know that shows that your malice for Pell overwhelms your legal background completely, let alone your brains. Sorry, I just got distracted.